everyone. Hope everyone is all well and safe. Thank you for joining me today. It's an absolute honor to be with you all. I welcome you to my lecture at the Rise Africa Summit 2022. My name is Dominique Petit-Frère, and I am the founder of Limbo Accra alongside my partner Emil Grip. Limbo Accra is a collaborative spatial design studio founded in 2018, offering a large and flexible outlet for experimentation in public art, design, and architectural production. For this lecture today, I have divided it up into three components. First, I'll present an analysis of the current state of the urban reality, focused on the capital city of Ghana, Accra. Second, I'll share with you a creative statement from our studio. And lastly, I'll share with you how we envision moving forward with the logic behind some of our key ideas. Let's get into it. As you might know, African cities are experiencing high rates of modernization. Property bubbles and escalating real estate prices are a defining feature of global cities around the world, and spaces in Ghana are no exception. Changing identities and influx of building projects are leaving the urban spaces in Accra caught in a state of limbo, anxiously awaiting modern futures while fossilized with the fragments of the past. Spaces both large and small are left hesitant and purposeless, unsure of their present, unaware of their potential, trapped between past and future, often for years on end. The meaning and purpose of these concrete limbo structures never really manifested, and their signal to society is a brutal example of speculative development in an urban setting. We are living in a new age of existence. For the first time, one species has come to define the geology of an epoch, the Anthropocene, an epoch defined by human activity. Like the fossilized skeletons left behind by dinosaurs, concrete skeletons today make up the urban landscape of Accra. This is the world of Limbo, a world that leaves the questions and responsibility of the urban reality for architects and designers to reconfigure. How will we seize the opportunity to create cities by and for the people? Will it be inclusive and intentional, or exploitive and speculative? What does the future of African cities look like? And can we believe that we are a generation that can change things? Or is the current optimism solely based on the always prevailing energy from any youth generation? Strategies of architectural upcycling, resurrecting derelict liminal spaces through artistic intervention is our primary medium. Art is a mirror for society, an invitation for the individual to question what they see. It has the ability to distort, enhance, and degrade what we consider normal or reality altogether, and allows us to speculate on the possibilities nestled within the future of our continent. The journey I've embarked on to work and practice within the field of architecture is an unconventional one. As a self-educated architect, I've been able to carve out my own path and define my own profile to capture my ideas about architecture and the power of regeneration. It has become abundantly clear that conventional architectural production in Ghana and Africa at large fails to represent the complexities, subjectivities, or ambiguities inherent to the built environment. The narrow focus on profit has been at the expense of sustainability and longevity, to which I constantly find myself questioning. How might architectural representation be expanded in order to witness, observe, or track the complex layering of social and economic injustice in the built environment? I am interested in these blind spots within our contemporary thinking, and I'm curious to understand what decisions we could make differently. Ghana is at a substantial disadvantage with regard to the architectural infrastructure in terms of both expertise and spaces. I intend to explore how architects can contribute to a shift in narrative, not just in relation to space, but thinking more generally about future generations. Contemporary architecture has long failed both in Ghana and afield because it relied too much on financial capital and form, without considering the freedoms and ideals embedded within the work. I thought that those ideals could be disseminated by creating spaces that speak to a more promising future. In working through these thoughts, my immersion into the emptiness of post-colonial architecture in Ghana has led to brilliant and new discoveries on how to approach and practice architecture based on a long-term and regenerative stance that is simultaneously intimate and therapeutic for the society at large. How do we take responsibilities for these incomplete spaces? How do we intervene within them? And how do we change their narratives and their story to foster positive change? In approaching these questions, I took inspiration from the etymology of the word limbo. By definition, limbo translates as an uncertain period of awaiting a decision or resolution, an intermediate state or condition. Although the word is often loaded with negative biblical connotations, when you deconstruct the word limbo, it can also mean an act of empowerment, an act of teleportation, an act of transformation, and ultimately an act of potential. From this point of realization, my practice started to take form. The idea that within this liminal state of spatial destitution, there is the possibility to see a new way of transforming. Globally, I focus on when space in architecture declined to a point of nullity. This material can suddenly produce a new sense of existence, language, and aesthetics. I've been inspired by the element of transformation and resurrection within what society deems as a place of decay and destitute. As a studio, we use the patny of failure and decay as the primary apparatus in our work to be able to produce and develop new languages and aesthetics that speak to the idea of recirculating the way we produce architecture, especially within a contemporary African context. I see our practice within these sites as a transient embodiment of temporal vessels that offer a blank canvas to approach the future of Africa's development with a new and all-inclusive visionary mind state. I aspire to democratize architecture and culture in its truest form and to perform as a kind of architect that changes the narrative of architectural development in Africa and how people live and interact with it. In its essence, Limbo Accra is deeply rooted in the idea of being able to redistribute understandings of architecture among the local population and to reactivate life in a very different way. It is very important to work at the nexus of the liminal state and to be able to build alternatively to the modern production and consumption cycles in producing architecture. Limbo's current and developing projects recognizes the production of architecture as a social act. I have focused my studio's operation on researching and developing alternative forms of sociality among human and non-human agents, bringing people and things into contact as a way to challenge the contemporary cult of the individual and encourage and practice empathy within space making. Working with proximity and intimacy have been core strategies in my work that require new approaches and insist that on addressing these topics. By engaging with the metamorphosis of Accra, I work to amplify the personal and collective experience in this complex urban space through imagining hybrid social spaces that cultivate a communal atmosphere and prioritize creativity and citizen engagement. I see the threshold space of Limbo Accra as a unit for unrealized potential, which demarcates a breakthrough from everyday life and accommodates a parallel reality. Human perception, spatial experimentation, and attribution of meaning are influenced by this liminal status determined by the correlation between socio-political intent and architecture. I'm driven by the point to which the relationship between the material and society, or the space it finds itself in, breaks down. By this, not only do I recognize the symbolic function of architecture beyond its materiality, but also accept it as being a part of a totality which brings together space, people, and the future beyond. Limbo Accra exists in this fluid state between juxtaposition because we never really allow ourselves to be stagnant. Limbo is constantly evolving, morphing, and growing. Essentially, we are simply here to question and investigate the reality of the world we see and how we can be more intentional about our role within it as spatial practitioners. You can therefore say that Limbo is this ever-morphing studio, working with creatives and real people from all over the world. Within our practice, we are strong believers in the collective effort to change. We are simply better when we are more people to solve problems. It's not so much a quantity versus quality, but more an approach to problem solving. Through our work with Limbo, we have experienced firsthand the incredible power of passionate people. It's like if you put the right group of individuals together on a mission that's empowering for them, truly unexpected outcomes will appear. We are still getting surprised about the power and willingness to foster change that exists within the creative community. And with media platforms like Instagram, we can all connect and join forces. It feels like a super transformative time period we are going through. Using a digital analogy, it's simply about open sourcing your ideas and not to be afraid that someone else might steal your idea, because at the end, it's all about being a part of creating a more positive future for ourselves, for our kids, and the next generations to come. The point is not who got the idea, but how can you contribute to the idea's success? And I mean, for my studio, we're on this mission to create real and meaningful change in developing cities through the idea of using uncompleted spaces as public space. And if we kept that strictly within our own studio practice, how will this ever be possible? How will it ever be attainable and achievable for the mass? We can't make it all happen within all the places where it's needed. So one of the next projects we're embarking on is developing a manual for how to use these spaces for social change. It's a collective effort to change things for the better. Thank you very much.